Hey, welcome back to my journal entry series. Today's episode is about guilt surrounding food in eating disorder recovery. This is really impromptu, to be honest. I just happened to journal a lot about this. It was kind of spur of the moment, but I was feeling really guilty about eating. I've been having a really hard time at the moment with it. And I think I wanted to dig deeper and just ask myself, where is the guilt coming from? Because a lot of the time when you feel emotions, if you start to actually question the logic of them, then you start to realize, I'm not actually feeling guilty about this. I'm displacing it. And I think I wanted to work that out. So I thought I would do an episode about feeling guilty about food eating disorder recovery. Eating disorder I'm personally recovering from is anorexia nervosa, but this is kind of for any eating disorder. I know it they kind of all intertwine and overlap, so you're all welcome. I want to talk about the displacement of guilt and how food becomes an instrument for other forms of guilt. I think for me, I choose to punish myself because I feel guilty for something else, and it gets displaced onto food, which becomes this easy target for my guilt. It's a tangible thing that I can put my guilt onto. I think my guilt is being misplaced, as I don't think food is what I feel guilty about. I mean, I've moved so many negative emotions onto food and made it a fear, but food away from everything, out of all the feelings, detached from everything. It's nothing. It's nothing to be scared of. It's literally it's just food. And I know that logically, I know that rationally. I think everyone with eating disorders knows logically and rationally, but an eating disorder voice is not rational. And when that's controlling you, you can't take in anything rational. Food, it's something that sustains you. It's something that you need. It's a human need, and it's a basic human right. And that's it. It's nothing more. I don't feel guilty for eating. It's something you have to do, and it's so natural. I feel guilty for how eating changes my body. Since I noticed the link between eating and body shape, I became so obsessed with controlling it as much as I could because I noticed the link between it, and I thought, one thing, and this has a reaction, I love seeing something happen from this. The body weight being as low as possible became more important to me than actually taking care of my body. Food wasn't a fear for me. It was in my eating disorder, and it still is, but it's so much deeper than that, because it's I actually love food. Food is great. I've always loved food, but it became this instrument for fear and guilt. And I think even that is based off of displacement of guilt. When I feel guilty for how it changes my body, I don't really feel guilty for my body changing. Bodies change. Growing up, your body changes. Being a woman, your body changes. Every day your body is different than it was the day before. Depending on what you've eaten, depending on what you've drunk, but depending on the time of day it is, where you are, how many times you've gone to the toilet. It's it is constantly changing. It ebbs and flows. And so it's normal. I don't think there is guilt placed onto that, but I think it's displaced onto that. Instinctively place that guilt onto something tangible that I can easily control, because I look for control in any place I can find it, and food has always been this easy thing that I can control. And I think when I'm angry about something or at a situation, I project that frustration onto my body and I begin to degrade it or deprive it of food, or I'll purposely hurt it, or look in the mirror and judge it and find a way to shrink it down. And I find a way to purge my anger without hurting others, but in turn I hurt myself. If I feel guilty about a situation, I can't physically feel guilty about that. There's no way to express that or do it in a good way that I had learned. There obviously are ways, but for me, I didn't know how to, and so I placed it immediately onto something tangible that was this physical thing and controllable that I could feel guilty about. And it's unhealthy. It is. Eating disorders are, but you don't realise that at the time, or even if you do, it's kind of the point of it. I wasn't doing it to be healthy, and I think that's a big misconception with it. I was not doing my eating disorder to be healthy or skinny. It was to be ill, and it was this punishment. And I think I'm not actually scared of food. I just hate the guilt that follows, and I'm deadly afraid of the guilt that follows, to the point where I starve myself just to avoid it. I'm not scared of the eating, because the eating is nothing. It's the guilt that comes after it, because I know that there will be guilt after it. I know. And also I'm scared of how it could change my body, how putting weight on might be. And I know the link between food and weight, and it scares me. It's not the food itself, it just happens to be like a part of that like journey. If I know that guilt is going to follow the food, then the easiest way for me to avoid the guilt is to avoid the food. But that's not the right way to do it. It's working through that guilt, because where is that guilt coming from right now? Like, where is that guilt actually coming from? And then in my journal I did talk a bit about like where it's coming up from right now. I'm not going to go into that personally, but like, because like guilt gets me nowhere but back where I started. Like, I think guilt is actually a very unnecessary emotion in most cases. Like, some things, there are things you need to feel guilty for, like if you've done something wrong, but guess what, eating is not something wrong. Eating is actually the right thing. And it's like, this guilt, where did it come from originally? Like, you have to look back before your eating disorder and think, what was I feeling guilty about? So guilty about that I felt the need to punish my body and punish myself through starvation, or like not eating, or controlling my food, or whatever form it was for you. It's like, what was I compensating for? And what was I placing this guilt onto? Because the truth is, eating disorders aren't about food. The food is like this, I don't know, this easy target that becomes like part of it, but it's really not about the food. It eventually becomes about the food, and then I think therapists are so obsessed with the fact that it's about food, and it's like, well, no, what happened before it was food? Because something was so hard to like process that you just pushed it onto food. Like, there was something I was feeling guilty about, and that I felt like I can't even like put this into words, I can't even express this, so I'm just going to shove it onto food, and I'm going to feel guilty about that, and I'm going to put all my guilt into that and make this like the tangible thing that makes me feel guilty. And there's an easy way to avoid it then. But when it's like a situation or something in your life that is making you feel guilty, it's not as easy to avoid, and it's not as easy to spot or notice or recognize. But it's really important to like, what is it that made me feel guilty? I think for me personally, it was, I don't know, I never like saying this because I don't want to blame it on it, and I think it's like not really that traumatic of a situation, but my parents' divorce really like affected me, I think when I was like 11 or 12, which is kind of when the eating disorder like started for me as well. I think it was always there a bit, but I think that's really when it kicked in. And it's like, I think I blamed it on myself that my family was being like torn apart, and we were no longer that family unit, and we had different dynamics, and everyone was arguing, and it felt like I'd always put it on myself that it was like my role in the family to keep us together. I was like the glue, and I was keeping everyone happy, and I was making sure everyone was happy. Like, I feel like as the youngest child, I felt like, oh, I've got to keep them all like happy, and I've got to keep us all in our place, and I've got to keep us as the family unit we should be. And I felt like it was always my job, like, as a very empathetic person, which is a very good thing, but it's a gift and a curse. it's a blessing and a curse. And it's like, I want to make everyone around me happy, and I want to kind of control their emotions too, which isn't healthy, but I wanted to feel like I could make everyone happy, and so I felt like I took on everyone's like pain, and in a way I guess it felt like I felt guilt for the fact that I couldn't save my family from this divorce. And looking back now, I'm like, it was a good thing that it happened, like it needed to happen. And I think a lot of people who go through divorces realise that over time, but I think in that moment I was like, it's my fault, I feel guilty that I couldn't fix my family. And it's like, I couldn't say that to anyone. And I wouldn't want to make my parents feel bad about it, so I had no one to talk to about it. And so it was like, how do I punish myself for this thing that I've done? And it was immediately through food, and it was like, I'm going to place this guilt that I feel for this family situation. And I'm sure a lot of other situations, this is the only one that I've worked through in my journal so far, like the divorce, but I'm sure there were situations before that I felt guilty about. And I think it's even things that you can't control, like my mum had cancer twice when I was a kid, and I feel like I somehow blamed myself for that. Not to make that situation about me, but from my perspective, I felt like I couldn't even save her from it. And she survived it. She's like doing much better now. But it's like, how do I couldn't protect her from it. And I feel like I'm someone that immediately feels like if I love someone, I have to protect them from everything in the world. And I'll take on everything I can to make sure that they don't. And I think that's another thing about my eating disorder that was like, you know what, if they all have this problem with like divorce and with these arguments, I'll make an even bigger problem so that they can't even think about this problem. They can't even focus on their problems and they'll all go away. That was such an ignorant way to look at it, but I didn't even know I was thinking it now, thinking it back then. Now looking at it and working through like the causes and effects of my eating disorder, I think I've realised that it was maybe this way. It wasn't attention seeking, or maybe like, I think that has such a negative connotation, like such negative connotations are held for like attention seeking, and I think it's an immediate like assumption that eating disorders are for attention. And I know like my family has questioned that, and people probably question it when I say, oh, I struggled with anorexia, or I do, and they're like, oh, it must be for attention then. And it's like, it felt like the opposite. It felt like, I will do a whole other episode on this, but it felt like I was purposely trying to disappear from the world, and I was trying to shrink myself, and I was trying not to be seen. And I think a lot of my anorexia came from the fear of being seen, and I thought, I'll make less of myself so that no one can see me. And I definitely will be doing a whole nother thing on that, because I've got a whole nother journal entry on that. I kind of just accidentally went into that there. But I think part of it for me was like, subconsciously, I think I was trying to protect people I loved and save people I loved, because it's like my instinct to take on other people's problems as if it takes it away from them. The truth is it doesn't. It just means two people are carrying this shit. It's like it just means two people are carrying this load. It doesn't mean it's displaced onto you. It just means you're both carrying it. And it's like, it's not for you to carry. It's not for you to fix. It's someone else's life. And you have to learn that eventually. And I think I'm starting to. But back then it was like, I would have done anything to take pain away from others. And even if that meant putting it on myself, I was fine with that. And to the point where it was so damaging to me, because I was like, oh, if they're hurting because of this situation, this divorce and this struggle in life, then maybe they just need me to like draw them back together. And I think there are so many things that my eating disorder could have been, and probably all of them, it probably is all of them. Like, there's not one single thing that causes an eating disorder. And I think I've been realising that there's so many things that I've never even considered that kind of paid, like, that contributed to this eating disorder. And I think I realised that I felt like I was trying to protect everyone with my eating disorder, which is a crazy thing to say, because it really didn't come across in that way, because I was kind of ruining all their lives through like this mess that they hated seeing me in that state, and it kind of tore the family apart, because it was like this horrible thing that, I don't know, was so upsetting. But it also, the sad truth is that tragedy brings people together. And so when someone is suffering in the family, especially if it's like the youngest child or like a child, it's like the parents will come together to help them. They'll put their own issues aside, because that's what parents do. They put their shit aside and realize our kid needs us and we need to help her right now. And like, that's all that matters. And I think subconsciously I realized that in my head, and I was like, well, if they'll put like all their shit to the side, then they'll like forget that they have these problems, which isn't healthy. But I thought at that time that was what I did, like that was healthy in my head. And I was like, they'll put their problems aside, and the only problem they'll be able to deal with is me. I'll become the problem. And it's like, then they won't have any problems of their own. I'll be their only problem, and that can easily be fixed. And it was like I sacrificed my own well-being to like protect people, but it really just didn't turn out that way. But like in my head I must have thought it would. And I think there's this idea where it's like, I had this idea where an illness can bring everyone together. And it was like, if I have this illness, then they'll have to all like take care of me and tend to me, and they might come back together and my family will be whole again, and we'll all be like a family unit because they'll be taking care of me and they'll be parents, and I'll like be the hero, the savior that brings everyone together. And I didn't go about it in the right way, but at the time it felt like the only thing I could do, and I didn't even realize that at the time. It was so subconscious and so deep in my head that I didn't understand what was going on. But I think looking back now, it makes so much sense that that was what was happening. And maybe it was attention seeking, maybe it was for attention, but what's wrong with that? Because it was not consciously for attention. And also, if you are attention seeking, the issue isn't with the person that's attention seeking, it's the fact that they're not getting the attention they need. It's like, and that's no one's fault. Like, my parents are very good parents and they very much gave me attention and tended to me, but maybe I was someone who needed more attention than my sisters, and maybe they weren't used to giving that much attention to someone, and so I found ways to get attention. And I think maybe that was a way that the attention was on me and off of my parents' divorce. It was away from them and all put onto me. They didn't even have time to feel sad because it was all about helping me and making sure I was okay, and I was putting their like issues into perspective. It was like, well, look at me, I've got like an eating disorder, and it's like, look at yourself compared, and it's like, that's not healthy. But it was an attempt to fix something that wasn't my job to fix. It's not the child's job to fix a family, and it's like, the family didn't need fixing. What it needed was a divorce at that time, and that's okay. But I did only, like, all I knew how, like, that was the only thing I knew how to do. And it feels like this thing where I was like, I will also do another episode about this, because I think a big thing about my eating disorder was this like fear of growing up, and there's so much I could say about that, oh my god. And I think it's this like need to be taken care of, and I've got really bad attachment issues, I'm aware of that, especially with my mum. And it's not her fault, it's like kind of all me, that I'm a very clingy and attached person to people that mean a lot to me, especially my mum. And I have been for like my entire life. But I think I found this way where I was like, I was growing up, and in the divorce, I guess less attention was given to me because more attention was given to the divorce and the situation and moving house and everything like that. And it was more about how they felt and how they were making each other feel, not how the children were feeling. And that's not their fault. Divorce is a hard thing for everyone in it. And it probably wasn't the hardest for me. Like, I wasn't the one getting divorced. And so I can't even understand that. But I obviously felt like I wasn't getting the attention I needed, and I felt like I wasn't being taken care of how I wanted to. And as like the youngest child, I think I always wanted to be the child to them, and I wanted to be their little girl and their baby. And I think parents subconsciously, and not purposely, but like inadvertently, do this thing where if you are the youngest, they make it like, you're my baby, you're my young child, like you'll always be my little girl. And it's like, I think I took that so personally and like ingrained that in myself, that it was like I was conditioned to the point where I was like, I have to be their little girl, I always have to be their little girl. And I was like, I found a way to always be their little girl. I'll like physically make myself stay young forever, and I'll make myself a little girl forever. I'll make sure I can't hit puberty, and I'll make sure when puberty hits, I'll stop it. And I'll make sure I don't have periods. I'll make sure I don't grow or like develop, and I'll make sure I'm stuck at that age and I can be their little girl, and I can have them have to take care of me. They'll always have this little child that they have to take care of, and they'll have to feed her, they'll have to do all these parental things, and they'll have to like really nurture me. And I think I did it for both me and my parents, and I think, as badly handled as it sounds, it makes sense to look back at and think that, because it was like I was in such need of like tending to and caring for, and I was so scared of the real world and growing up. And honestly, I will also do another episode on like the whole fear of growing up, and puberty was such a big thing for me. Like, I had such a fear of periods, and everything to do with being a woman scared me so much. And so I tried to do what I could to avoid it. And I think my mum recognised that too, and she agrees with me with that. And I think I was trying to do this thing where I was like, look, I'm still your little girl, you're still a mother, you're still a father, you can still take care of me, because my sisters are growing up and they're over 18, and or at least one of them was, and the other was, you know, older than me, and they were both more independent than me already, and always just more grown up than me. And so I was like, don't worry, you've still got someone to take care of. And I found a way to do it in such an extreme way that was like, you physically have to take care of me, and I'm going to be that one that's like the child that needs your care. And I think it was this way of like making myself dependent on them, because I was kind of going back to basics, where it's like, I think I wanted so badly to be a child again, and to have that like free, careless childhood where you're just like carefree and you're happy. And I went about it in a way that eventually made it the opposite. I was so stressed and guilty, and I cared about every single thing, and I cared about food so greatly. But what my goal was, I guess, is that I wanted to be a child again. I wanted to be a toddler again. I wanted to be a baby again. And I think I found ways to do it in this way where when you're a baby or a toddler, your mum is feeding you. It's not your job to like think about food or to think about it in that way. And I think it doesn't make sense, because in my eating disorder, I wasn't letting my mum think about my food. I was the one doing everything about my food and about my exercise, and it was me controlling it. And yes, there is that like sense of control that I'll also do another episode on, where it was like, oh, this need to control it, and it was kind of displaced onto food, that there was this great tangible thing that I could control and feel guilty about and punish myself with or for, or without. I guess I punished myself through no food, and like this restraint that I felt powerful to have. I'll also go into that in another episode, because I think it's this like, I don't know, this ego where it's like I'm doing so well, and it's like this constant perfectionism where it's like I've achieved something and a purpose like I was given. And I will also go into that, but I think it's this idea that it was like, if I want to go back to being like a baby or a toddler, then I have to like revert back to that, and I have to show my mum that I feel like it was mainly for my mum, not like that I did it for my mum, but it was like this need to be comforted and taken care of by my mum because of these attachment issues, I think, that are very much bred by me and worsened by me. I think it was this need to like show her that without her I couldn't do this. I couldn't function like a normal human without her. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't do any of these things that you're meant to do as an adult, and you're meant to feed yourself, you're meant to do it. And I was like, I can't do it. See, I can't feed myself, because without you I just starve myself. And so I think it was this ultimate goal in this like way that she would have to like nurse me back to health. And in recovery, I think, like right at the start of recovery, I think I really reveled in like the fact that my mum was having to make my meals. And I know it's like, there was also this other side where it's like this loss of control, and I hated it, and it was so triggering to, when I'd been so controlling of my food, like measuring it out and everything and counting the calories, it was like suddenly I couldn't even touch it until I was eating it, and I had to eat all of it. And I hated that. But there was also this other side of it. There was like these two ends of the spectrum where it was like I also loved how little control I had over it, because it was like the guilt isn't on me anymore. I'm not the one like doing this. I have to eat for my mum, and my mum is like making me eat. It's like when you're a baby, you don't feel guilty that your mum is feeding you. And it's like, I felt like, I know this sounds so stupid and like futile, but it was like, it was so, I think, prevalent in me that I didn't even recognize it then. I've only realized this recently, but it was like this need to like regress and like freeze time, or even like reverse time. I think it wasn't even freezing it, because I wasn't happy at the age I was. I think I wanted to go back. And so I realised that if I wanted my mum to take care of me, I needed to be a child again, and I needed to like be in this horrible situation where I couldn't take care of myself anymore and I needed the care to be handed over to someone else. I needed the responsibility of myself on someone else. I needed that responsibility gone again, because I think what is so carefree about being a child is that you don't have any responsibility of yourself. It's all on your parents or whoever's taking care of you. And it was like, I missed that. And it was like, how can I do that? I can control myself so badly and treat myself so badly that they see that I can't do it myself and that they have to do it, that it's put onto them and they have to take care of me. They have to feed me. They have to watch me. They have to make sure I'm not exercising. They have to make sure that all the control is off of me. And my life is no longer my responsibility. My food isn't my responsibility. And I think that was like kind of the ultimate goal in it, that it would be like, I think in that way, I was developing an eating disorder almost to recover. And it was like, maybe only in that situation, that like root of it, but it was like this, oh, I'm so afraid that I can't exist by myself and I need to prove to other people that I can't, so that they will finally they will take care of me in the way I think I need them to. And it's this like horrible thing where you are just like proving to yourself that you can't do it alone, even though you can. Like, you can exist by yourself, and we are made to exist like by ourselves and for ourselves on this like on this planet. Like, you will be all alone at some points in life, and you have to know that you are able to live like by yourself. You are able to like keep yourself alive and take care of yourself. Like, that is what everyone in this world does. And it's just like, I think I didn't want to accept that point because I didn't trust myself in it. But the only way you ever will trust yourself is by proving to yourself that you can take care of yourself. And it's like, at the stage where I am in recovery at the moment, it's like, I'm proving to myself that even when someone isn't making my lunch for me, I'm doing it, because it's like a fuck you to my anorexia. And it's like, actually, I can live just by myself. I don't have to live with her in my head all the time. Like, I can make the decision to shut her off and to throw her out for a bit. And it might not be forever, but even just for that one meal where it's like, actually, I can take care of myself. I don't need someone to spoon feed me for the rest of my life. And I don't have to go to such extreme lengths if I do want that care and attention, because it's okay. It is a human thing. It's a human need to have attention and to have care and to be taken care of. We all love it, really. Like, whether we admit it or not, we love it. And I think I can find healthier ways to get that. Like, I can just ask for someone's attention, or just get it in a healthy way, or like give myself my own attention and be okay with that. And I don't know, like, hug my mum, or like just spend some time with her and like feel that taken care of without her having to feed me, and like without me having to starve myself. Like, there are other ways to go about it now, and I'm realizing that. And I think the more I realize what caused my anorexia, or like what played a part in it, I guess you'll never know fully what caused it, but you can kind of work out what contributed to it. And the more you work out about that, the more you'll realize like how to kind of prevent further like days of it. Like, you'll work out how to prevent relapses, or how to, I don't know, deal with them even if they come, or like how to deal with the thoughts if they come. Because when you're feeling guilty about food, if you don't understand what you're actually feeling guilty about, then you just think it is food. And so you think, oh, I just won't have the food. Or you think, oh, it's just me feeling guilty about food. That's how I feel. It's like, no, because it's not the food, is it? Like, if you ask yourself that question, the next time you feel guilty about eating, ask yourself, what right now do I actually feel guilty about? Like, take the food out of the situation, out of the equation. There's no feelings attached to that food right now. It is just whatever food it is. It's just the burger sat in front of you. Detach the feelings from it for that moment, just for that moment, and ask yourself, what is happening in my life right now that I feel guilty about? And like, you can start working out, like, before your eating disorder, what was it that made you start to feel guilty? What did you punish yourself for? But right now, I think it's the most important thing. And do that at a time when you're feeling good. Like, ask yourself about the past, when you're feeling strong, and when you can just write it down, and when you feel like it won't affect you too heavily, but it's something good to know. But when you're feeling guilty in that moment about food, ask yourself, what is it about, like, my life right now that I'm feeling the need to punish myself for? And like, then realize and start like rationalizing the thoughts that, no, actually, if someone, maybe it's someone resenting you. Right now it is, for me, I'm feeling guilty about a certain situation where I feel like someone resents me. And it's like, I've had to go through the fact that it's their resentment to hold and to carry, not mine. They choose to hold on to it, and I can't change that, nor is it my job to change their minds. Like, their resentment should only affect them because they're the ones carrying it. It's not me. And it's not my job to prove to them that they shouldn't resent me. Like, that's their decision to make, whether they resent me or not. And what does it matter if they do? Like, it's okay. And it's like, I shouldn't have to make the decision that they don't resent me, because even if I hold on to that, like, it's not going to change that. I think it just, like, links to how you have to stop taking everything personally. Like, someone else's resentment to you is actually far more personal to them than it is to you. Like, they're working through their own shit, and I have nothing to do with that. Like, or at least most of that. And the same way they're nothing to do with my shit, like, but I sometimes snap at people. Like, it doesn't mean it's personal to them. Like, you can detach yourself from those things and detach yourself from other people's situations, because you're living separate lives. Like, even if they're people close to you, even if they're your sisters or your family or your brothers or your parents or, like, your friends, even if they're so close to you, it's not personal to you and it's not your life. You can detach yourself from their personal emotions and from their personal life because it's not yours. And you don't have to apologize for something that was out of your control if that's what they resent you for. Like, it's up to them to resent you, not up to you to change it. I think on the surface, the guilt is for food, but it's because I've taught myself to attach these fears onto food for so long that it's become this, like, easy habit, and it's just natural for me to do so. But deep down, it's like something else hiding beneath the facade of food, and it's really important to work out what that is so you can work through that, and then it will become a thing where you don't eventually you don't attach it to food, and you don't just look at food as a displacement of guilt. Like, one day it will just be food because you've worked through what you feel guilty for. And then when you feel guilty for something in the future, you realize, I don't feel guilty about eating, I feel guilty about this situation. And it's a situation that maybe you can control, maybe you can't. But if you can control it, or, like, work through it or process it, then find a way to process it that's not through, like, unhealthy eating habits. And it's like, how can I work through the fact that someone resents me, but they don't want me, like, their goal in resenting me is not that I starve myself. Like, their purpose of resenting me is personal to them, not to me. And it's not like, oh, I'm resenting you just so you starve yourself. Like, that is not what they want. So why is that what I'm doing? Like, why would that be, like, okay? It's like, like, restricting myself from food helping that situation anyway? Because it's not. Like, it might make me feel better in the moment, or, like, be a good source of control, but it's like, it's not changing the fact that that situation exists. Me restricting my food intake has no link to them resenting me whatsoever. It won't change that at all. What, like, might change it are healthy ways of, like, having a conversation about it. Or even if you don't want to, it's just like, for me right now, it's not having a conversation about that resentment, because I know how it will go, and it's not something that's healthy for me. What it is right now is just me realizing that I can't control how people feel. The only way the only, like, person I can control in my life is myself, and that's okay. And it's like, actually, I should control myself and not my food intake, and my, like, this inability to control others isn't a bad thing. Like, it's okay that people resent me. It's okay that people have complicated feelings towards me, because that's human. And it's also, like, that's for them to work through. And it's their decision whether they work through it or not. And you can't force that. Like, other people's energy is their energy. Don't take it on. Like, that's not for you to take on. You can only control what comes. Like, what I've found is a really helpful technique in, like, I've only really worked it out in the last couple of weeks of my in the last couple of weeks. But it's a really helpful technique in my recovery personally, is that for a while my control was through my intake of food and what I put into my body and what, like, came out of my body, and it was, like, so unhealthy. But I think there's this healthy thing that I've realized that I can now control my intake of energy. and in a different form, because food is energy, but like I'm talking about the energy that you take from other people. And it's like I can control what I let affect me and what I let just go. Like I can control what I take in and what I let out. And it's like I'm going to start doing that instead of controlling what food I take in and what food I take out. It's like, what energy am I carrying that is someone else's to carry, and how can I let that go? Or like in a situation that I would usually take personally, I've got to stop for a minute and think, am I going to like take this in and let that like churn up and affect me and let myself feel guilty about it? Because actually, unless that energy benefits me, I'm not having it. Like, it's not my energy to carry. And that's what my like mantra is at the moment. If it's like a situation that maybe someone resents me, that's not my resentment to carry, that's theirs. And that is not my energy to carry. I'm letting that go. Because if they want to resent me, that's fine. That's their decision. But it's not for me to carry. It's not for me to care. It's not for me to solve. You don't have to solve everyone's life. Yours is the most important to you. Yours is the most important to understand and to solve and to help yourself. And when you kind of like solve your own energy crisis, it's like this, you glow and you give this great energy out from you. And then it's like you actually inadvertently make people feel better, because you're not solving their lives or like trying to fix anything, but because you're like helping yourself and really loving yourself, then this kind of inner self-love kind of glows out, and it kind of becomes this like genuine love and kindness that spreads onto everyone, and it's just like this beam and source of light that you become. And it's like the best way to help other people is actually just helping yourself in that moment and getting yourself to a place where you're in a good, like, you're a good person to be around, and you're a nice person to be around. And even just for yourself, like, make your own company nice for yourself. Make yourself have, like, be nice. And like, it's not that easy, but it's like working out how you can control this energy that like you carry. And it's like, for me personally, I have just started this like ritual where I'll light a candle each night for like 30 seconds, and I look at the candle and I say this mantra to myself. Maybe this doesn't work for you, maybe like you don't believe in affirmations or like manifestations or anything, but I personally really enjoy it, and if it works for you, I recommend like just trying it and like seeing if it works. But it's all about trial and error, and it's all personal. So for me personally, I light the candle for about 30 seconds, and then I just say to myself, I let go of any energy that is not mine to carry. I call back any energy that has been lost or scattered. And I just say that to myself every night, so that I know that I'm letting myself let go of the day's energy that I've maybe taken on. Like, you accidentally or subconsciously take on other people's energy, because all of us so easily do it. And especially when you're an empathetic person, you immediately kind of like attach yourself to other people's feelings and like align yourself with them. But it's like, you can listen to their story. Like, it doesn't mean you can't hear people complain or like have a moan. It's like okay to do that, but don't take it on, because you can't fix their life. You can't do anything for them but listen. And that's good. Listening's good, but you can't suddenly fix everything for them. You're not their therapist and you're not them. Only they can fix their life. And it's like this point where it's kind of just, what energy can I control and what energy is good for me and what energy is bad? And it's like, start recognizing what energy is good and what energy is bad. Like, what makes you feel good, like, and what doesn't, because you control what energy you let into your body and your mind. And what energy you let in is what you are. You are your energy, and you are what you let into yourself. Like, you become that. And so make sure you're letting in like lovely, beautiful things. And it's like, obviously you can't make sure everything around you is beautiful all the time and always good, but it's like, how can you let the like bad situations roll out and just like brush off of you? Even like maybe you carry them throughout the day, but at the end of the day, you speak to yourself and you say, I'm letting go of that. That's not mine to carry. And it's like, how do you then also notice the good moments, even if it's like a tiny moment each day that's like, I'm going to let this energy like really soak into my body, and I'm going to let that control me. and I'm going to let myself be that energy. And it's like, just notice, like start noticing the energy that exists in you and around you, and realize like what makes you feel good. And I think start like displacing away from food, like detach those feelings from food. It's really hard. It's easier said than done, obviously, but it's like, how can you control something else that's positive to control? It's like, control this energy that sits in your life. And I think soon you'll realize that the more like positive light you let in, the more that like comes out, and then the more that like finds you. You know, like you are the energy you put out into the world, and the energy you put out is the energy that comes back. And it's like, the way to find good people is be light and like be joy, and you can, like, you are more than your emotions, and you are more than your struggles. Like, you are a great person, and you just have to let yourself like believe that, and you have to realize that it's all this displacement onto food and your body, but it's really something that's so incredible, and it carries you through the day, and it carries you through life, and you wouldn't be able to do anything without it. Like, these beautiful, when you see something beautiful, like say you see a beautiful flower, just take a moment and think, if I didn't have the body I have, and if I hadn't eaten that lovely breakfast this morning or had that lovely drink, then I wouldn't have been able to walk past this flower or like see this flower with my own eyes and take it in and actually understand how beautiful it is. Like, I wouldn't have the mental capacity for that or the physical like strength to do so. And it's incredible that food can give you that, and that beautiful energy that you get from food welcomes more beautiful energy. And I think just start like thinking of your life as this beautiful like energy, and this like energy globe that like kind of attracts all this greatness, and if you let it, it will. And I think, I'm sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent there about energy, but I think it's a really important thing with it. And that was such like a random journal entries episode, because I think I've been talking on loads of different like situations, but I think that was a really good like talk about recovery. And I think I will definitely do more episodes about recovery, because I've got so much to say, clearly. And I feel like I need to wrap this up. But I think it's just really important to kind of take note of what feels good in your life, and what brings you, like, what makes you feel light and what makes you feel heavy. Because I think even just like as a start, like notice at the end of the day, like maybe I make these lists of like 3 things that worked for me today, 3 things that didn't work for me today, and 3 things I want to do more of. So for example, like 3 things that work for me today would maybe be like walking into college without headphones, because I could hear the birds and I could feel the sun on my skin, and I was really present in that moment. That could be one of the things. And then like something that didn't work for me today could be like letting someone, like, I don't know, taking on someone's energy because they were upset about work, or they were upset about school or college or something, and it's like putting that on myself and trying to fix it. And then it's like something that I want to do more of, maybe like buying myself a drink, or like getting outside, or doing something that I enjoy, going somewhere, going to a park, going shopping or something like that. And it's like, just start noticing things that can make life a bit more energetic and like more positive, because it's not easy, but it will get easier the more you try with it, and the more energy you give it, the more energy it gives back. And so I think it's this like give and take, where everything is an equal reaction to everything. And it's like, you just got to find that and just start taking notice of like energy and how your body feels and how your mind feels, and not in a way that's like, how does my body feel like based on eating, and how does it feel like in my body image. It just means like, how does it genuinely feel, and like intuitively start listening to it and listen to its cues, and listen to when it feels tired or when it feels heavy, like when it just feels like it's carrying so much, and like listen and make lists of what is taking up your energy, and then realize what is worth your energy. Like, make a list of everything that is taking up your energy right now, all those things, and then star what's like worth your energy. What are the things that are actually worth your energy and that your energy helps? Like, putting your energy into your work, maybe that will be a productive thing as long as you're putting a fair and healthy amount into it. But it's like, if you're putting your energy into fixing someone else's life, that's not a healthy thing to do, and there will be no positive outcome from it. So you've just got to start taking notice of that, I think. And I think, sorry, this kind of went off topic. I can't even really, I think we started by talking about what I feel guilty about and like how that kind of reflects onto eating. But then I kind of went on a tangent. So I kind of hope this episode makes sense. I guess it's kind of as sporadic as recovery feels sometimes. So I hope you enjoyed, and I hope this helped, and I'll definitely be doing a lot more videos and episodes about my personal journey with recovery, or my tips and advice on recovery, or just like what I've noticed from my journaling. And I hope you enjoyed, and I hope it made sense. And I'm sorry I talk so much and so fast, but yeah. And if any of those things sound helpful to you, like, give them a try and let me know. I hope that you're all doing well, and just take care of yourself and be kind to yourself and your body and love it, and just try and give it what it needs, because plants can't grow without the care that they need. And just water it and like feed it, and you deserve that, and you really do, and you're doing so well, and I'm so proud of you, and you're stronger than you know, and you're so beautiful, and you've got this. We've got this, okay? There is a great future ahead, and all it takes is pushing through the night to see the sunrise. So we've got this, okay? And just remember, the best is yet to come. Love you. Thank you.